Hey guys, this is Jay with Jay Skills. It is Tuesday, June 15th, 2021, and I thank you for joining me today in my very first tutorial video. I'm definitely new at this YouTube deal here, and I am definitely new at filming myself playing guitar. This is new for me, and I'm working with very minimal video equipment, so I thank you for your patience and understanding. As this channel grows, tech will come along the way. And what I'm going to show you today is some of the features on a typical electric guitar, what they're for, how to use them, how to tune your guitar, a warm-up technique, how to hold your pick, some strumming, a few different types of picks there are. I'm going to also show you the 0 E Major Pentatonic scale pattern and the first E Major Pentatonic scale pattern. And every key and every type of scale pattern has a 0 pattern that uses the open strings, and I'll show you that here today. And at the beginning of every new video, I'm going to do a quick recap of what we covered the last time. So let's get started here. So this is a typical guitar cable jack that will plug into any amplifier or USB interface like the Onyx Blackjack that I use. And I have two M Audio speakers with the same cable types going into the interface. And that's what you're hearing right now. And I'm going to show you these knobs here. So these two knobs are called tone knobs, and they're for adjusting the treble frequency output. This one is the volume output, and that's to adjust the volume output to the amplifier. And this switch right here, this is to change between the neck, this is the neck, and the bridge right here. And this is my guitar, my Gibson Epiphone right here, which I've had for a long time, and I enjoy using it quite often. So the first thing we're going to do, and for these settings, it's all individual what sound you want. I typically like to use the second to last setting here. That's the type it uses. I keep the volume on full. I tend to keep the tones at 10 on both dials. And this is your whammy bar. So it won't go any further than this. And what this does, it gives a vibrato technique. But that'll throw off your tuning sometimes, so you'll always want to be checking your tuning, especially if you're playing live or with people. And you can get a similar effect if you just take your third finger here. See, it sounds similar. It's not quite the exact same. And it's almost the same, but it's not quite exactly the same. Thumb and hand positioning, I tend to like to use this. It gives the most strength, especially with the thumb on the neck, depending on what you're playing, especially if you're playing up here on the lowest strings. And just to give you an example of why you'll need this strength, the F bar chord's at the very bottom of the neck. And why do I say bottom? Isn't this the bottom? No, that's the top, because as the frets go higher, they get narrower. The fretboard, it gets narrower. Every fret that it goes up and the sound gets higher and higher. So that's why you see how small they are up here? So that's why this is the top of the neck. So let me show you why you need that strength. See that last one? You really got to press down with your index finger. It takes a while to get used to. And then this F chord, That's easier to play. There we go. And for picks, I have a few different kinds here. There's a really thick pick here with a finger gripper, and I tend to like to hold my pick like this in between my thumb and my index finger, so I can, and it's just a simple up and down with the wrist, the strumming. Sometimes you'll have to go just with the, and here are the different strokes. There's down, 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 up, 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 down, 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 up, and so on. Here is a slightly wider and thinner but thick pick. You can see how much thinner that is, but compared to the next one that I'm going to show you, it's much thinner. And this is my favorite size pick to use. And I even take scissors to cut off the point and make it sharper. Up and down, up and down. Those are just straight downward strokes. And I'll get into strumming a little bit later, but that's some of the basics of strumming. Now, one of the first things we got to do is tune our guitar, and you'll either have a tuner box, maybe it's a long rectangle, or slightly wider body. I used to use the Korg guitar tuners if they're still around. They'll either have lights on it that move left to right across the tuner board, or a needle that goes up and down. I use a Pitch Perfect music instrument tuner software. I'll see if I can find a link for that below. It's free. You can find free tuners out there. The ultimate goal is to be able to tune by ear. I haven't really mastered that yet. I've gotten close. I just like to use a tuner just so I know what I'm doing. And what I'm going to show you is how to tune your guitar. So we're going to use standard tuning, and I will get into that other tunings later on. So this is your low E, A, D, G, B, and then your high E string. Okay, so we got to tune that up. And the good thing is with a computer software like this one for tuning, you can find out the frequency of each string. And that'll be important for alternate tunings as well later on. Like E, open E, is 82.41 hertz, for example. A is give or take 110 hertz. D is around 146.5 hertz, give or take. Your G string is at about 196 hertz, give or take. Your B string is at about 247 hertz, give or take. You'll find this out for yourself on the tuner to get an exact reading. In your high E, is at about 330 hertz, give or take. So we're all tuned up. And I'm going to show you this warm-up technique that'll really help you play all over the neck. And you'll find in some 80s and 70s rock videos, I see guys holding their thumb over, you know, if they're using a mute technique to mute the low strings. Sometimes the grip, you know, it depends what you're doing. But for this technique especially, you'll want your thumb up here. So you take your index finger and you play all 4 fingers on the first 4 frets. And the same on the next several strings as well. And you'll see these at the bottom, it's harder to play, so you really have to get that finger strength up. And I'll typically take about 20 minutes to try and do every fret. I usually stop at about the 12th fret or so. Sometimes I'll go up a little bit here. And one tip when you're picking, you can actually, so you're picking like this, you can actually hold it on a slight angle so you can get more speed going up and down. So then I'll do the next fret. You'll see that it's a bit easier on the second. I'm just looking something up. Okay. And you'll eventually start building calluses up. You'll want to take care of those as well so they don't peel off. I use shea butter on my skin to keep it moist. You'll want to make sure they are dry and as much as possible. I'm just checking something here. Some people use a skin file. I've never really used one. If for some reason the calluses, if they're dry and rough, if they're really tough, they'll be peeling, and you don't want that. If the skin is loose, taking a hot shower and carefully trimming off the dead skin, that can be helpful. Don't bite or tear them off, as it can rip off healthy skin too. So you don't want that either. So I'm just looking that up below. You can find out your own regimen as well. So I'm going to play another warm up here on the 6th fret. And you can even go with upward strokes. And do the alternate picking. Now the upward strokes are a little bit slower, which you'll find, but it helps to build up both techniques. And I'll do one more up here to show you on the 12th fret. You want to get more in the middle of the neck with your thumb up when you're playing up high, and you want to position your hand on an angle. Now I'll typically do each fret 2 or 3 times, and just to show you one more, up here on the 14th, you really want to get that angle. Okay, and now to get started with the 0 E major pentatonic scale, you have your open E, and the last 2 strings are the same, and you'll notice on the 12th frets the scale patterns repeat itself, but instead of using the open strings, you're using these 2 on the 12th. Okay, so we have our open E on the 2nd fret with the 1st finger, F sharp, 3rd finger 4th fret, G sharp, B, C sharp, E, that's a root note. Then you'll take your pinky so you can stretch up here to G sharp, open B, C sharp, E, F sharp, G sharp. And you'll be using muting techniques with the high strings with just the palm of your wrist, so you don't get that ringing effect when you're changing strings. And that's one thing I'd like you guys to feel comfortable with. You know, you can come here, make mistakes, and just get better and better at what you're learning. And that's my goal, and I hope that's your goal as well. You know, we don't have to be perfect all the time and be too hard on ourselves. Now, I will typically like to do each scale pattern 2 or 3 or 4 times until I feel I've mastered it. So let's play that a little faster. And sometimes you'll find when you're trying to play faster, that's when you'll make a mistake, but it's okay, you just keep going. Take a deep breath. And sometimes what you'll find is your fingers are moving faster than your picking hand, so you really want to try and keep those in time, you know? That way you won't make mistakes as well. Let's start over. And an E major pentatonic, just like any scale pattern, it'll have a set of notes in every key that you play. So if you can remember where all those notes are all over the neck, you won't need to play in scale patterns. So for example, there's E, F sharp, G sharp, B, and C sharp, and then it repeats. So if you can remember where all those individual notes are, that's going to help you out a lot, and I'm going to show you a couple of techniques to help you with that. So now we are going to go on to the first scale pattern. It's almost the same except there's no open strings here. F sharp, G sharp, B, C sharp, E, the root note, F sharp with the pinky, G sharp, and instead of the open B, we go up here to the 4th, to the B, C sharp, and instead of the open E, we go all the way up to the 5th with your pinky, F sharp, G sharp. And one technique that I like to do as we'll go along and learn more scale patterns, I like to start out by going up in one scale pattern and down in another. So you can start by going up in a pattern up here and then go back down in a pattern all the way up here. And I'll show you that later on. So let's start with this one, the 0 pattern. And then we're going to go back down in the first pattern. And vice versa. So that's one technique that you can do. And what I'd like to show you here, one technique that we're going to do with every video, I'm going to show you each string of where all the notes are for that particular key. So you got, and you're going to see the similarities to all the scale patterns too. So you got your E, your open E, F sharp. Just to learn them, you're going to just use your index finger. So open E, F sharp, G sharp. Then you go up 2 frets all the way to the 7th. So 3. So from the 4th fret all the way up to the 7th, up here to the B, and then you only go up 1 fret to the 9th, to the C sharp, then you go up 2 frets to the E, okay, and you go up a fret, F sharp, that's like the 2nd fret on the low E string, and you go up to the 16th, that's your G sharp, and you go up 2 frets like you would to the 7th fret, and that's your B on the 19th, okay, and all the way up at the 21 is your C sharp, just like your 9th fret, okay, and that's it for today. So you can review that, and we will be going over the 2nd E major pentatonic scale pattern. Anyway, I thank you for your time, and we'll be back soon. Thank you.